Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Europe. I hope everybody is having a good week. Hi Khyber. Hi Abhishek. Hi Mahmoud. Nice to see our members in the class. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. If you'd like to become a member and get those perks like these members chat classes, exclusive videos, exams, then just click the join button next to the subscribe button on our YouTube channel page and pick the right subscription for your needs. Hi Patricio. Hi Rajveer. Lots of members joining in. That's fantastic. In this class, we are looking at task 2 writing, writing a band 9 argument. That's going to be the focus of today's class. This question was submitted by one of our members, so thank you for whoever submitted this question. And this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Check us out there. For the general IELTS, visit us at IELTShelp.com. On both of those websites, we help thousands of students every day around the world to improve their communication, their English, and get better band scores on their IELTS exam. Khyber says, this class was requested by me. Khyber, thank you for the request. Thumbs up off camera. All right, this is aehelp.com with the blue background. Click that big red button to join our premium package. We are official British Council IELTS registration center in Saudi Arabia, and we have certified agents as well. Our general IELTS website looks like this with the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. And if you have any questions, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. You can grab our books from Amazon, search for AE Helps Academic IELTS, GE Helps General IELTS, and of course we have apps as well. Search for the app Academic IELTS Help, links to aehelp.com, General IELTS Help app, links to gieltshelp.com. So make sure to visit us. All right, everyone. We've got lots more lessons this week, so task 2 start today for the members. And then in 90 minutes, I will have a reading class for everyone where everybody will be able to join in on the chat. Lots of members. How's the brightness right now for the screen? Is it good? Do you want it a little bit brighter or darker? I'm open for votes as we get into our writing task 2 question of the day. Okay, so let me know what you think about the screen brightness. It's a little bit tricky in these live classes sometimes to gauge that. Although I have a lot of instruments, it's still tough sometimes. Bharat says, perfect. Abhishek agrees. All right, looks like the vote is in and everybody says it's good. Okay, fine. Let's do this. So IELTS task 2 submitted by Khyber. All right, Khyber. So good question. I think it's a typical kind of question that you could see in the general IELTS task 2. You could see this one in the academic as well. I think you can argue this from either the academic or the general sense. Here we go. So first step first, read the question. Okay. So task 2 writing. Many people say that cooking and eating at home is better for the individual and family than eating out in restaurants or canteens. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. Now, usually with this type of question, you will also see something like support your opinion with explanations and examples from your experience. Okay, so yeah, this is a very typical kind of question. It's a good standard question to practice with for sure. First question: is this an open or closed question? So is this an open or closed question? Okay, that's a really good point to identify, especially if you haven't practiced this often. So you want to first of all identify, okay, is this closed? Is this open? So what do I do with this? Okay. It's not the same, Kyber, as to what extent do you agree or disagree. Yeah, it's a closed question. Janeel's got it right. It's not an open question. It's do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree is simply put, it's a yes or no. It's definitely a closed question, everyone. So basically, I mean, they won't show you this, but it's basically yes or no. All right? You're either with me or you're against me. You don't want to be down the middle on this one, okay? So this is not really, I'm not even going to say really. I'm just going to say this is not a to what extent do you agree? And it's not a I will discuss both sides. Okay, you should never write that anyways, but all right. A good essay here will be yes, no. Okay, that's it. It's definitely a closed question. All right. You should just choose one side. So a good, quick essay in this case will present one side with two strong points. Okay, does everybody see that? So do you see how for this question, you either want to say, yes, cooking and eating at home is better for reason A and for reason B. Or you can say, I disagree, going out to restaurants is better for reason A or reason B. Okay, it will make your life easier to write the essay this way, and you will give yourself the best chance to get a high band score. Okay, so don't start thinking like, well, there are benefits to going to restaurants as well as eating at home. Not the question, not the right answer, not the place to do it. Okay, so 250 to 300 words. All right, it's not necessary. The IELTS examiners, by the way, don't think like, oh, well, they didn't actually discuss both sides, so they're going to lose a point for that. No, okay? It's not, no, it's the content. It doesn't have to be that way, okay? All right, so it's yes or no. You agree or you disagree. All right, so let's make sure that we understand this clearly and get some good ideas. And this is one way to have further clarity on your argument. Again, band 9 argument, right? And your approach, okay? So let's paraphrase this. Get clarity, vocabulary, and direction. Okay? That's why you're paraphrasing. So you can gather your thoughts, you can focus on the question, you know where to go, and you think of some words that can be useful in your essay. Okay? All right, so okay, there's my paraphrase. So practice paraphrasing so you can do it quickly. Paraphrasing can be useful as a part of your essay. It doesn't have to be a part of your essay. And it's certainly not your introduction if you're looking for a band 9, okay? Everybody clear on that, okay? So again, just a reminder for all of you who have learned bad information about IELTS and about writing. It's not just IELTS. You've learned bad information about writing, okay? So the introduction, or I should say a good band 7 to 9 introduction is not just simply paraphrasing the question and then stating this essay will discuss the benefits and negatives of eating at home and in restaurants. Okay. This is a band 6.5 level essay with perfect English. Okay, so if you have perfect grammar, perfect sentence structure, and you write an essay introduction where you just paraphrase and then you write this, that's just a band 6.5. Why? Because that's basically grade 10, grade 11 level writing in a North American, British, Australian school, and that's roughly a band 6.5 when it's done perfectly. Okay. So Kyber says, right, sir, I've seen many types of essays like this. Yeah, this is, that's the problem, Kyber. That's exactly it. So you've put your thumb on the issue, is that you've seen many types of essays like this. So have the examiners. The examiners and the markers have seen many types of essays like this, where students just paraphrase the question and then say, this essay will discuss. Why would I give you an expert user of the English language mark for doing that? Clearly, every other Joe, Dave, and Sarah can do the same in many countries around the world. So then is everybody an expert user of English? Clearly not, right? English is a or IELTS is a proficiency exam, okay? So I always remind students, I know some of you like Rejveer and Ois, maybe some students that have been in these classes a long time, Kyber, you too. You might be getting a little bit bored of me saying this point over and over again, but it's like I'm fighting this other force of IELTS education that's just, it has these bad traditional template ideas which are causing people to get the same band 6 and band 6.5 again and again. And there are a few people out there in the IELTS education world like me who are fighting against this massive force of bad instructions, or I don't want to say bad instructions, but not the band scores that a lot of students hope to get, like band 7, 5, 8, and 9. Okay. All right. So Rashika has a paraphrase. Rashika says, many individuals ascertain that eating homemade dishes are better for an individual and family than eating out in restaurants. What do you think is correct and incorrect? Do you think this is correct or incorrect? So Rashika, that last question, do you think this is correct or incorrect? Okay, instead of the what do you think, okay? Ali says a lot of, otherwise it's good, Rashika, otherwise it's good paraphrasing. Ali says a lot of individuals refer to the homemade food as a better choice for the individual and family than the food of cafeterias. Cafeterias is one type of restaurant, so I think you're restricting a little bit, Ali, but okay, it's the right direction. Are you in agreement or disagreement? Yeah, it's one or the other. Very good. Okay. Kyber says, lots of individuals state that preparing dishes and consuming food at home is greater for people, is more optimal for people than family than eating or ordering food from bars and lunchrooms. Do you concur or disapprove? Yeah, restaurants is a more global, canteens too, it's a more global term. So don't restrict to lunchrooms or bars or cafeterias. Those are just kind of special types of restaurants, so careful with that, okay? All right, Rajveer says, certain individuals ascertain that preparing and having meals at home is beneficial for people and family rather than going out to restaurants. Which side do you support? Very good. Yeah, so don't support both, right? And don't sit on the fence. Okay. Anaya. Yeah, homemade food. Notice, everyone, how Rashika wrote homemade as one word. Homemade, handmade, I believe both are one word in the English language. So homemade, one word. Homemade, homemade. Okay. I could be wrong, but I believe it's one word. I'll double check in a moment. Okay, so Inaya good. Ois, a lot of individuals think that preparing and having food at home, preparing and having, Ois, watch your verb agreement, ing, that preparing and having food at home is better than eating out in restaurants, right? All INGs, okay? Tanya, some individuals, not individualize, careful Tanya, some individuals suppose that homemade meals are much healthier than food that is served in restaurants. Tanya, careful, you're assuming there. The question doesn't say that it's healthier. It just says better. Healthier is one of the arguments or one of the points that you could make in the essay. Okay, so one point that you really have to be careful about, students, when you're paraphrasing is not to change the meaning of the original idea. Okay, so everybody on board with me on that? Because a couple of you have done that. You've specified certain types of restaurants, and now, Tanya, you're specifying a reason for eating at home, okay? So you have to be very careful about this. When you are paraphrasing, the key to doing a good job is do not lose any of the original information and do not add information that is not in the original information. That's really important, okay? So you're simply paraphrasing using synonyms, descriptive language, antonym negatives, but you're not adding or subtracting information. Everybody good on that? Okay? So you're not adding, you're not subtracting information when you're paraphrasing. Otherwise, you can accidentally get derailed and really go off into a different direction and then realize later that, uh-oh, I didn't completely answer this question, or uh-oh, I've been writing about a different idea. And then your band score will go, and you don't want that. Okay, all right, I can see a lot of yeses and absolutelys. Okay, so be really careful about that. Okay, paraphrasing. If you're not sure how to paraphrase it, just use the original in that case. Okay. All right, Jainiel, Patricio, Bakrat, some nice paraphrasing there as well. I did a quick skim read over your responses. Let's get to the next step here. So I think, Kyber, you sent an email to me with the next step about the topic and the controlling idea. And it was one of my colleagues that wrote back. I don't think you had quite the right controlling idea and topic, so be careful this time. Okay, so that's always your next step, is identify the topic. Okay, and then identify the controlling idea of the question, or sometimes it's ideas, it's more than one. So when you're thinking about the topic, think about, well, what are we talking about here? And always go back to the original. So you're always going back to the original, back to the original. Many people say that cooking and eating at home is better for the individual and family than eating out in restaurants or canteens. Do you agree or disagree? What are we talking about? Okay, what are we talking about here? In a very simple way, the simplest topic that I can think of right now is 1, 2, 3, 4 words. Kyber, we're not just talking about home-cooked meals. We're not just talking about the preference for homemade food. Patricio says eating in or out. Yeah, kind of. I would encompass it a little bit more. Okay. Think about it this way. Home is a location. The restaurant is a location. And the key word is better. So how can you say this? Okay, Jaineal, not bad. Jaineal's kind of got the closest one so far. Jaineal says eating at a place. Okay, you're close, Jaineal. You're close. I would summarize this as best place to eat. Okay. And I might, if I'm really cautious, and I would say best place to make and eat food. Okay. That would be the most accurate topic. It is so important, students, for those high band scores to have a good argument, to be really clear about your topic, okay, for obvious reasons. When you have the right topic, then you have clarity and you have direction. It's also to make. So the make part is a little bit hidden. You have it here, right? So cooking and eating food better than eating out in a restaurant. Now, restaurant or canteen also has it, right? But it's just a little bit hidden because in restaurants and canteens, the chefs make the food, right? So you have cooks and chefs make the food, but the idea is kind of hidden, right? All right. So the best place to make and eat food is what we're really talking about here. Okay. Now, what's the controlling idea? I think a lot of you thought about kind of the topic as the controlling idea. Okay. Yeah, so Nikhil says the best place for eating food, the best place for making and eating food. By the way, sometimes people don't agree with me. If you don't agree with me that this is the topic, that this is not what we're actually talking about, then let me know and let me know your logic, right? So I'm always open to argument. What's the controlling idea? Yeah, so Nikhil says the controlling idea is making and eating at home or outdoor. Yeah, Kyber, exactly. So home is better, right? Because we could say barbecuing at a park. That could be another place to make and have food, okay? Weather permitting, that would be one of my arguments there. So identifying the controlling idea here is better at home for a person and family than at a restaurant. Okay, so that is primarily the idea here. Best place to make and eat food. All right. So now I have to ask my what, why, how questions, right? That's my next step. So next step. What, why, how? What's my what question here? What is the what question that I should ask here? Okay, what is the what question that I should ask? Okay, so I think a lot of you are really clear now on the topic, controlling idea. What is my what question? So Rajveer says, what is a best place to make and eat food? Okay. All right. All right, good, sure. So, yeah, I would say it like this. What defines the best place to make and eat food? This is what I would ask. So what defines this concept? Okay, so what defines the concept of the best place to make and eat food? Now this is where your argument becomes interesting because it could be a different answer for different people. So what defines that? Okay, give me an answer. What would you say, okay, that's the best place to make and eat food? Okay. Tanya, I wouldn't go to why the home is the best yet, because that's more the controlling idea. So at this point, we don't want to go into that much detail just yet. We do want to think about that quickly, Tanya, and we do want to get to that question. But first, we want to ask some higher level questions. And these are the questions, Tanya, that often people kind of skip through. And so they miss a part of the concept and their argument is not as strong as it could be. Okay? Notice Inaya's answer to that. It's very good. So the quality of food. So the quality of food defines the best place to make food. I agree with you. Quality can be defined by health. So the quality of food as defined by health and taste. Sure. Okay. So the quality of food as defined by health and taste. Yeah. That's one. What else? Okay, Rajveer says a place where people have control of ingredients, the cooking process, and they enjoy the meal. I was looking for that, Rajveer. So that's another one that I would say is enjoyability. The enjoyability of food, so how much you can actually enjoy the food and the company, right? If we're thinking of the original question, the individual and the family. And then Inaya says the cost of food defines it as well. And for some people, yes. For some people, cost might not be as important, right? So some people might say, well, it's not a big deal if it's expensive or cheap. I'm just more about health, taste, and enjoyability of the food. Okay? All right, good. So now we can get to the next question, right? What's the next question? Okay, what is the next question? This one I'm curious about because this is the key. This is the question where a lot of people kind of get lost. They don't have clarity. So what's the next question? We're always starting with the what, why, how for the topic, and then we're moving to the what, why, how of the controlling idea to create that very clear, strong argument, right? So Kyber says, why is it better to choose the best place for cooking and eating? Yeah, instead of better, Kyber, I would have used the word important, and then you would have been on par. So, okay. Yeah, Rajveer, very good. So why do humans want to have the best place for making and eating food? Yeah, I would keep it a little bit simpler. I would just simply say, why is it important to have the best place for making and eating food? So that's what I would, yeah, that's how I would coin it. And why? So you'll see, everyone, how having this logic will really help you put together the right essay. So, Chrysolite, not why is home an important place. That's more detailed. You want to have a more global understanding here. Again, Tanya, you're getting stuck in the specific idea. And what's going to happen if you do that, Tanya, is you're going to end up with an essay that is not giving the overall argument and wisdom to your reader, which is quite important for a Band 9 essay where they really are marking your thinking, your communication, as well as your English. So they want that expert user of the language from every perspective. Okay? So here, why is it important to have the best place for making and eating food? What's the answer to that? Why would you want that? So as a human being, as an individual, or as a family member, why would you Ali says to maintain our health and enjoy taste. Sure, okay, that's fine. I think there's some other ideas. So for health and financial process, I think, okay, so here's a little tip. Okay, remember, I've said this in past classes, always keep those meta ideas in mind. So think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay? And that's why we have restaurants existing in the world. That's why we have home-cooked meals existing in the world. That's why we have order a chef to your house existing in the world as well. So Rajveer says it's sustenance. So eating, okay. So I would say because, hopefully some of you are thinking this now, because eating okay, so this is what comes to mind for me. The reason we want the best place to eat food, health is part of it for sure, but it's even more fundamental, it's even more basic, because the ritual of eating and the behavior of eating is a fundamental part of our sustenance or survival, you could say. It's our survival need, according to Maslow, and a part of our daily social need. Would everybody agree with that? So would everybody agree that one of the reasons why we have this quest to have the best place for eating is because it's part of our, I'm going to change this to survival just so it's a little bit clearer, because it's a part of our survival and social needs on a daily basis. So we quest to have the best environment for that, right? Okay. All right, good. So remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, since I've gotten to this question and I've gotten to this answer, some of you are probably thinking, okay, yeah, now I can see how he is going to create an essay that will stand out from the other 200 at that exam center. Okay, so you start to notice that at this point, right? And this is what you want for that Band 9 argument. The topic of today's class is a Band 9 argument, and you start to see that now, right? So by asking and answering the right questions, your argument will stand out from the other 200 candidates and will give you a chance at the highest band scores. Do you see that now at this point, that if I were to start writing my essay and I have this kind of information included in my introduction or in my conclusion and my take-home message, that's kind of where this type of information will become useful, is the background or the conclusion, the take-home message, then that essay is going to stand out from the other essays that are just looking at the very basic, well, it's healthier and cheaper. Okay, you see that, right? So asking the right questions is always the key to great arguments. It's not thinking about the right answers. It's that irony again here, okay? All right, now the next question. So the next question here is how, right? So how is a place the best for making and eating food? Now, here is where a lot of you had answers, and this often is what happens with people's thinking, is they think about the how answer for the what, why questions, okay? So the how answer here is, I control the ingredients, like the amount of salt and sugar in a dish, like lasagna. I also control the atmosphere, like picking out a certain restaurant, or like setting the table at home, dimming the lights, okay? Opening a window for fresh air. So these are the details. This is when we get into the specific visual ideas with the how question. So how is a place the best for making and eating food? Okay, so I control the ingredients, like the amount of slat, not slat. It's my fingers not following my brain's order of operation. Salt, salt. Pay attention, fingers. Okay. Like the amount of salt and sugar in a dish, like lasagna. I also control the atmosphere, like picking out a certain restaurant if I go out to eat. Or like setting the table, choosing the dishes, dimming the lights, putting a candle on the table, etc., right? So controlling the temperature in the room, opening up a window for some fresh air, okay? And I see that question, so Kyber's asking, how can we ask better questions? So how do we ask the right questions? Kyber, that is the million-dollar question. That's always, of course, what everyone's thinking, including myself. So we can always ask better and better questions. Everybody can. The first step, Kyber, to asking better questions goes all the way back to the beginning. It's basically this process that I'm showing you. So the very first step to asking the right questions is making sure that you have the exact understanding of the question you're being asked, so that you recognize that here it's about making, eating, individual, family, restaurant, canteen. So you recognize every element of the concept that you're exploring and explaining, okay? Then the second one is making sure that you really do have the right topic and the right idea. So your topic has to be concise and clear. Your controlling idea has to be concise and clear. You have to understand that this and this, they're not the same. This is a part of this. This is an umbrella, and this is a part of that umbrella that you're exploring. Okay? So being able to go step by step and visualizing and using your logic, that's how you develop the right questions, okay? That's the main goal of university and college for most subjects and for most professors, is to teach you that skill, okay? So otherwise it's a matter of practice, and that's why you're here with me as well, okay? Because you can get any question on IELTS Task 2, and you know that. So there are a million different questions they can ask you for Task 2. The goal here is for you to know how to answer any question well, okay? That's the idea, right? Okay, now we can ask what, why, how for the eating at home and at a restaurant, okay? So we're going to speed up this process a little bit today so we can get to some writing of the introductory paragraph. So now ask what, why, how, and you want to go through these step by step at home for the controlling idea. But for the sake of completion, because that also has its value, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. You can do this at home, of course, go through step by step. Okay, so controlling idea. Better at home or at a restaurant. Okay, now you can argue restaurant as well, but I think here eventually, so ... you will come to the realization that it is better to eat at home or make food and eat at home for the most part. Now, of course, once you've trained yourself, all of these steps only take 3-4 minutes in the actual official IELTS to get to this point, okay? So it is better to make food and eat at home for the most part. Okay? Now, this is where I wanted to just give you one quick piece of advice, all right? So pay attention, everybody focus. So it is better to make food at home for the most part. Here, are there advantages to eating at a restaurant? Yes, there are. Of course there are. Otherwise, restaurants wouldn't really exist, okay? Sure, they're usually a bit more expensive, but you don't have to worry about doing the dishes. The chef could be outstanding, make amazing food. Some restaurants have fantastic ambiance, which means the atmosphere is amazing, beautiful view of the city. Yeah, I know that, okay? In my few years on earth. I've learned that truth. But I need to create a strong argument here. And this essay question is asking, which side do I support? So I can't thin my argument. I can't weaken my argument by including those ideas, especially not in a 250 to 300 word essay. It's not going to make the most effective argument. So here, I get rid of all of this, okay? And I simply stick with, it is better to make food and eat at home. Even though that other truth exists, I don't digress. I don't go into that. Is everybody clear on what I'm doing with this and why I'm doing this? If you have any questions about this, now is the time to ask me. Okay? So, even though I know that there are advantages to eating in a restaurant, for this type of question, it is a disadvantage for my IELTS score to provide these ideas and weaken my overall essay. Okay? Yeah, so Rajveer says we're focusing on one side only. Okay? Think about it this way. It's like having a business. You have a car dealership. You sell Mazda. And your competitor on the other side of the street sells Honda. Now, somebody comes in because they're interested to buy a car, and your goal is to sell your Mazdas. And even though you know that Honda might have some points that are better, like better fuel mileage or fuel kilometers or better air conditioning, you're not going to present those points because your goal isn't to sell your competitor's Honda. Your goal is to sell your Mazda. Is everybody clear on that? So when you get asked a question like this, it's basically like they're asking you, should I buy a Mazda or should I buy a Honda? And you own a Mazda dealership, not a Honda dealership. So even if you know that Honda has some better selling points, you're not going to present those, okay? Because this type of essay is not asking you to do that, okay? All right? So it's different from a to what extent do you agree? To what extent do you agree or disagree essay might be like your friend asking you if they should buy a Honda or a Mazda, and you're impartial because you don't have a car dealership. So you say, well, Mazdas are good this way, Hondas are good this way, but if I had to, I'd probably buy a Mazda. That's a to what extent do you agree? Okay? This is a one-sided closed question. Okay? All right, and Kashirsha, I think that answers your question. So Kashirsha says, when should we discuss both sides? Kashirsha, when the question's asking you to discuss both sides. If the question says, discuss both sides and give your opinion, then discuss both sides. Okay, all right. So really pay attention to the nature of the question. Okay, so let's quickly pick out a couple of points based on our critical thinking of why it's better to make and eat food at home. Okay, so 2 points. Only 2 points. Think of more, but pick 2 that you think are the best. Why is it better to eat or make and eat food at home? Okay? Think about this planning here of the why, especially the what and the why. So when we thought about the what for the topic, health, taste, enjoyability, and the ritual of eating is fundamental. It's social needs on a daily basis. So think about that. Vishnu, I might not go with health and low cost right away. Okay. Okay, so Kyber says brings the family together. Okay. All right. So Ois says it's healthier and controlling the taste is more. I don't know. I'd be careful about that, Ois, because I think some restaurants, truth be told, prepare fantastic food. Okay, Bakrat says happier and healthier. So again, we're looking for that band 9 argument here that includes these ideas and at the same time is original. Okay, let's see if anybody comes up with a different answer. When you're thinking about these points, always think back to the original question as well. So better for the individual and the family. Okay, think individual, think family. Okay. All right. Honey says to have value for money. I think that's the simple idea. I think a lot of students would think value for money, and that's okay, but you're going to be competing with another 200 essays that will have value for money. And there are some really cheap restaurants out there these days that are arguably maybe even cheaper than cooking at home. Okay. Okay, so Ali says more enjoyable. Yeah, so I think enjoyable, Ali, could be one of the points. So that's one that I would take. Okay, so it's more enjoyable to eat regularly at home with your family, to sit together and really enjoy that food that mom made or that somebody made. Sure, okay. Janiel says more convenient. Social bonding, Vishnu. Okay, now we're starting to, very good. Bakrat's starting to say, okay, mental health. Right. Kashir Shah, cooking together brings the family together. So what does that do? Okay, so I would say, okay, so point 1. So lead into it, right? This is what you want to kind of work out at home, okay? So again, of the 200 people, a lot of people would answer cheaper. A lot of people would answer healthier. You want to be the 1 in or the 5 in the, I don't want to say 1, there'll probably be a couple other people who are very educated and will come up with this. So you want to be the 5 or the 10 out of the 200 candidates that comes up with social and physical well-being. So physical and social well-being. Okay. Oops. Does everybody see the 2 points here of physical well-being? So I'm physically fit and physically feeling good from eating home-cooked meals regularly, and I'm socially feeling good and happy. That's happiness is in there as well from eating home-cooked foods rather than going out to a restaurant all the time. So spending time with my family, communicating with them, discussing our problems, giving solutions. So does everybody see the eating at home? You can already kind of see the thesis statement. So eating at home is hands down better than eating in restaurants because in the long term, it leads to physical and social well-being of the individual and the family. Okay, so I'm just going to give you the thesis this time. This is your working thesis. Okay, so I strongly believe that making and consuming food at home is on a regular basis is better than eating out, as it leads to physical and social well-being of the person Well, let's just keep individual. It's better in this case. Individual and family. Okay, so this is my thesis statement. Okay, and this would be considered a Band 9 thesis. Okay, so does that make sense? Everybody's got it? Okay, so again, read through it. I strongly believe that making and consuming food at home on a regular basis is better than eating out, as it leads to physical and social well-being for the individual instead of the individual. For the individual and family. Okay, all right. Now, so again, healthier, cheaper, it's okay. But then your essay is up against another 195 out of 200 essays that are also focusing maybe on healthier and cheaper. And they're all swinging between a band 5 to a maybe band 7 on the best of days. Okay, so your homework for tomorrow, members, is complete the introduction. Hook, background. If you haven't learned this yet from me, don't worry. We'll quickly go through it tomorrow to start the class, and then we'll get into the body paragraphs and the conclusion. Okay? So everybody's clear on the homework? Everybody's going to do it? Yes? You can change the thesis a little bit to make it more personal. Keep the key points the same. Okay, but you can paraphrase it or change it to your own type of diction, all right? And then tomorrow, let's get through the introduction nice and fast so that we can get into the body paragraphs and then the conclusion and really get into that. So Janil says, you include strongly. Very good, Janil. So that's a good question. So I strongly believe that making and consuming food. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Janil, because strongly is more reserved for the conclusion. We could argue about that. The reason why I included strongly in this case, Janil, is to make it really clear that my answer is one-sided to the question. So do you agree or disagree? I strongly agree, right? Do you see, Janil, why in this case it's okay to be a little bit more persuasive, a little bit more argumentative right away in the introduction, because the question is asking you for a yes, no. So I'm basically saying I have a strong yes. Okay? If you feel it's a bit much for the reader, though, Janil, you could save it for the conclusion. We could definitely argue that one out. Okay? All right? I look forward to seeing all of you back here tomorrow for this writing, but don't go too far because coming up in 30 minutes, I've got a nice challenging part 3 reading passage for everyone with some good strategy and some good tips on how to navigate through a more difficult, more challenging reading section. So hang around. I will be back, and to all of our viewers, you will be able to join that chat. So that chat will be open to everyone. Okay, you're very welcome, members. Beautiful participation today. Lots of members in the class. I'm happy to see that. There was a lot of good information for you to digest. Again, for all of our viewers, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general. Go to those websites, sign up for a premium package, spend a couple dollars, and definitely you will benefit. Okay, we help lots of students every day with their IELTS success. Okay, everyone. Again, I will be back in half an hour, so stick around. See you soon. I'm Adrian, signing out from Europe. Bye.